Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening, viewers. I'll come up to the big screen in a minute. Here I am. Okay, I've just been listening to our guest, and guys, as you know, I don't promote these things. It's on now. If we can share it out, get it out there, no doubt a fair few people will see it. I've got it up on all the channels. But we're just going to have a bit of a USA Australia chat today with a gentleman from the USA named Jim Price, who has the Jim Price Show. And I've just been listening to his podcast covering some very relative stuff of the day. So let's bring Jim in straight away now and get him in. And whoop, sorry, I done that. G'day, Jim. How you going?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, mate.
Thank you. Hey, and good morning to you tomorrow.
Yep.
I guess that would be how we work.
It's a bit like that. If I could give you the lotto numbers, Jim, and we could all pull a bit of a scam like the deep state, so we could actually fund the freedom movement, mate, and make this job a lot easier, couldn't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm living in the past, you're a bit in the future, but we're all together in this thing. Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on your show. And the fact that Philip and others have brought us together on this whole thing has been a really amazing journey. So thank you for bringing me up on your show. And I know part of your journey and how you've gotten here. And I tell you, you're a hell of a man for living through what you've had. And then on top of it, your country went ahead and took a big dump on you guys. So the fact that you're still out there trying and pushing back against it, I applaud you for that. We all have reasons why we want to do these things. And a lot of it has to do with those personal effects. And I know you've had to live through quite a bit of it.
No, thank you, Jim. And yeah, that look, yeah, the good Lord gives us our drive and determination, and that's where we stay focused, mate. It doesn't matter what you do within the realms of this war, as long as you tell the truth. Okay, yeah. And that is the basic thing. We're living on a truth realm where we've lived in a deception for the last 6,000 years or so. So there's a lot of different opinions on that time frame, but we're not here to discuss that. But you know, as I see it, you know, the good Lord said, you know, I'm going, and this guy here is going to be running the airways, and your job is to endure and overcome until I come back. You know what I mean? And that's where we are now. We're really being tested as human beings in enduring and overcoming. And as you were just talking about, the J6 is a perfect example of that. Look at this guy here. You'll have to introduce the people to what went on there, Jim, but The J6s are at CPAC now. This guy's paid 20 or I don't know, $70,000, all right, to buy a booth, take J6s there, to be turned away at the door. So, Jim, just fill us in on the latest that's going on there.
Well, Jake Lang, he's been on my show quite a few times, and he's actually a true patriot in the way that he actually held himself. He said he wouldn't comply, wouldn't give in, wouldn't take the plea deals. And so they had him in jail for over 1,000 days, and they did like 300 of it in solitary confinement. So think about being in a square room, concrete square room, where you can't lay all the way out, and there are no facilities for you really to, quote unquote, use. He went to CPAC. CPAC is a conservative PAC. It's supposed to be really the most conservative, the most, really holding on to the old ways of keeping America the way America should be. Well, it sounds like a little bit of politics got involved and someone's emotions or feelings got hurt, which then sounds like Jake was asked to leave, and then it started to escalate. And then the Gaylord Hotel employees actually started physically pushing on him, which, again, we understand that that's assault and we don't do those things. If they want the police to remove him, that's another conversation, but they need to use the legal process the way it is. And I will tell you, the DC area, guys, every time I fly into that place, I just feel like I'm on an island that just doesn't like me. I don't need to be there. I don't like it. I don't like the energy. And I've been to the Gaylord. I've been to CPAC 3 years in a row. This is my 4th year. I did not make it this year. I was not able to get there. But the idea that Jake was a J6er who's been really humiliated and treated the worst of us in America, that individual's there at CPAC, he should be being lifted up and praised and being an ambassador of what it means to be a true patriot. But now we're finding out that there are some bureaucracy, some other people's emotions getting involved. The lady I was showing in the video, I actually know who she is. She's a low-level worker who does the booth area where they do a lot of the cells and different trades. Cells downstairs, and I know who she is. She's just a person who likes to help, and she's very helpful, and she's just doing her job. Oh, here's your booth. There's your booth. Let me see if I can get you an extension cord. And he was asking, like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I was just told. And the sad part of that is that whoever that was, needs to answer that situation. And we'll find that out. This is only a couple hours old. This is something that just happened.
Unbelievable, mate. And like you're just talking about when you fly into DC, our Canberra, at the capital of Australia, when we first started going to Canberra, back those years ago when we ran the big protest, we put, a couple of million people, as far as I'm concerned, through that place within, a 5-day period or something. Jim, when you drove into that place, it was heavy, man. The atmosphere was just like and it was a horrible looking place. The buildings were ghastly, you know what I mean? And we cracked that. We cracked that environment. But what we're seeing in DC at the moment is people leaving by the multitudes. Everyone's house is up for sale. They're looking for lawyers. They're looking for criminal lawyers. They're looking for bank accounts or people that can move their money offshore for them. And all this stuff is publicly available to us. So these guys, we throw it in their face as quick as what they are doing it now, Jim. And this is a real exciting time of the war to be a part. But watching DC actually just fall to pieces, it's got to put a warm feeling in your gut, hasn't it?
Well, you got to look at it like these guys are telling on themselves. I mean, you can't act more guilty than to throw your house on the market and ask Google on your IP address, on your internet web ID, how do I get money offshore? Like, stop! Like, don't do that. Like, what are you like? Come on, guys! Like, you've seen a spy movie before, right? You've noticed, So yes, the rats are eating themselves. They're jumping off the ship as fast as they can, and it's entertaining as all get out. Now, I will tell you though, what worries me in the interim of that is the bombs or the booby traps or the little things that the trap doors are setting up for us. So we've always got to be cautious. Let's not run headlong and be bold, but also be discerning and understanding, okay, all right, they're leaving, but what did they leave behind? And we know that they're going to be vicious. This is a dying animal. They're not going to go away and like, oh, hey, go ahead and stab me one more time, kill me. And they're like, no, I'm fighting to the death. So we know they're coming after us.
Look, they've been, as I said, they've been running this show for the last 6,000 years or so, Jim, and they've had no competition, mate. They have been directing the traffic, running show. They've been judge, jury, and executioner. They've been, what do you call it? Captain, selector, sole selector. You know what I mean? Of the field and the play. You know what I mean?
No one was telling them no. No one ever told them no as a child or as an adult.
Yep.
And then then dad came back, Daddy Trump comes back and is whooping some ass. All of a sudden, everybody's got an opinion. Oh, you can't do it that way. I don't like it. Like, what? No, you don't get to pick. Dad's back home. He's getting the switch out. We're putting the work in.
Okay, so let's run with an analogy here. Let's open up your brain, your mind a little bit. Let's say, you know, I spoke with some Hawaiians a while ago, so I use this analogy that we're all at Waimea. You know what Waimea Bay is, right? Yep. That's where the boys line up, okay? And we're in the lineup, and we got to go there because that's just what happens in Hawaii. So we're all in the lineup, Jim. Mm-hmm. And what we know is coming is one hell of a big wave, man.
Yeah,
you can feel it. Yeah,
feel it. Like you can feel it.
And we don't know how we're going to ride it. And that wave was Trump winning the election.
Yeah.
Right. And the turn of events. So we're all in the takeoff zone. This monster's come through. No one knows how we're going to ride it, but guess what? You got nothing to do except ride it. Okay. If you're in the game and you've entered the surf, all right, and you were prepared to ride the wave. Now, you don't know whether you're going right. You don't know whether you're going left. You don't know whether it's going to close out on you. You don't know whether you go right, left, go left again, get in the barrel and go through a little dark section. You know what I mean? And then pop out. You know what I mean? And come into sunshine.
The noise is in there. It's roaring. You don't listen to the noise. You don't worry about the mist. You just keep roaring. You just keep going just right down in the middle.
And then you pop out and you're into a glorious wave. You can ride it how you want to ride it. Yeah. Now, if we use that analogy on a worldwide basis, and we had all these countries, let's say we had 180 countries out there that we all know are, you know, within us, you know what I mean? And we can talk about them other things later, but we've all taken off. Where's Australia going on this wave, Jim? What do you see the future of Australia being? We see America's took off. They're leading the way. They're the first one down. You know, they've got the bottom man turn in. They're set up. You know, they're starting to hit a Rio, kick some spray. Yeah. Where are we? Where's Australia in your view?
That first set that comes through, that great big one, right? You know the ones behind that are the nice sets, right? There's that big one that just crashes, and it's the hard one to ride. And that's always the first one through the brick wall is always the bloodiest, right? And so that's that big wave that's rolling, and the guy can ride that out and come out. That guy, he's the hero, right? But here comes those other sets. And so the vacuum that's created by the rush of that water coming in, those smaller sets will come in, and they're much milder. They're easier to ride. You can just get up there, you stand up, put your toes over the board, and you're good. But you don't need to have that every single time, because America right now, if you're watching J.D. Vance and the Security Council meetings, if you're watching our Attorney General also at the same meetings, we are seeing that now that we're seeing all these things starting to come apart. We know that we're crashing through. We're riding that big, huge wave. Then we hear the noise and it's rushing. But we know that when everybody else comes along, they're going to come in with us and they're all going to enjoy it. Remember, Trump told you we're going into the golden age.
Yep.
If America's going into the golden age, then where goes the world? Into the golden age as well.
Into the golden age.
So now we know that England cannot satisfy gold orders for the last 2 full weeks. Why? We're taking our shit back. Excuse my language. We want our gold, bro. We want it back. So we're good.
This is Australia, mate. You can throw in a few. We leave the C word out, but a few adjectives get dropped in our shows, Jim. I can well assure you of that, brother.
I can appreciate that. But imagine that we can have that moment of the golden age. That's amazing to think that we created a sovereign fund for America. That means that the only thing that goes in there is profit. Well, if Trump is setting up the sovereign fund for America that we'll be able to draw an income or be able to pay for our country with that, where's he getting the extra money from? Except for it was always ours to begin with. We go back to 1871, we go to 1913, 1971. These are all big, huge dates that have to do with the petroleum dollar, the silver, the gold, the us paying the principal from General Grant to the Bank of London and the interest to the Vatican. We know these things are all real. So when we repatriate this money, when we bring this back, don't you know that we all get to go? The rising tide raises all boats.
All
America
all
is,
vessels,
yeah,
exactly.
So it's exciting. I get passionate about it because I'm like, yeah, finally, I'm ready for it. So,
Okay, so what's happened over here? Let me fill you in a bit on what's
Yeah.
happened in the last 24
guys-
hours.
oh, you guys have got some news. All right, let's get receipts out. Let's hear it.
Okay, so we have a guy over here called Clive Palmer. He's a mining magnate.
Mhm.
Now, Clive, when COVID come along, Clive, look, seems like a decent bloke. Okay, you know, we hear all this stuff. You don't know who's who in the zoo gym, you know. But to me, I've actually tried to contact Clive this morning. You know what I mean? You know, and I've rung and spoken to a few politicians in Australia who I don't like. Okay, because I fight this battle a different way, and if I was a politician in there, mate, it'd be a totally different strategy. And I did run for senator 2 years ago, with Bosie and a cart of 16 or 17 people. We got totally stolen. We got the evidence that they stole it, what they done to us. You know, Group U just didn't get any votes, etc. But Clive Palmer, back in COVID time, actually tried to bring in X amount of million doses for the Australian people of hydroxychloroquine. Now, because he doesn't have a license to bring in that sort of stuff, because you know how this cabal works, you know, you got to be licensed for everything. So the government said that they would help him get it in here. Now, this is a story I know, and I stand to be corrected if anyone comes in with better information than I've got. I haven't spoken personally to Clive yet, but I have spoken to people who worked with him and were with him at the time in his United Australia Party. So Clive's come up now with a party called Trumpets Patriots. Trumpet Patriots, all right, in Australia. Serious, in the last 24 hours. Now, this man went to bring in the hydroxychloroquine for Australia. The Australian government said, well, you can't do that because you haven't got the credentials to do it. So we'll bring it in for you. They brought it in, they confiscated it, and they got rid of it. So we maybe have someone who is a billionaire who maybe now just have entered the fray. Now, can we trust this man? I don't know. Okay, but what we do have now is someone with some money who can challenge. We have another lady called Gina Righthart. Now, funnily enough, both of these people were at Mar-a-Lago not too long ago at the same time. Now, do we like Gina Righthart in Australia? No, we don't. Do we like Clive as a general rule? Probably we don't, because we've got this horrible taste of billionaires in our mouth.
Right.
Because, you know, billionaires are elites. That's how we look at it. You know what I mean? So, but that's what we have got just coming to the surface now, Jim. And that's funny that both of them were at Mar-a-Lago and they're both mining magnates. And now Clive has taken a front foot, and Clive could run and he said he will run on Trump policies. Now, he could imitate a Trump in Australia, this guy, if he gets it right. Now, I've reached out to have him for an interview. Okay, and I'm going to continue to chase him because I do believe he's something that the Australian people can use. So I'm pretty excited this morning. You know, we've got nothing but New World Order Muppets over here. To have someone like Clive, you know, that we can keep. And look, to go back a little bit, to give you a little bit, and you probably would have seen this, Jim, but we're getting so many comms now. I thought the comms were going to stop. You know what I mean? But the comms are still flying. I thought we were just going to get direct speech. Here it is, have it. But if you saw Trump's granddaughter, Dorothy, wearing the red shoes the other day at the Daytona opening, guys, come on, Dorothy, red shoes. What are they telling us? The yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. They're taking us down the yellow brick road.
Trust Kansas. Remember, Trust Kansas was its own Q post alone. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
There's more out there. There's more out there. I'm excited about it. If your guy, your billionaire guy, got his little his thing smacked there, and he says he wants to run on Trump policies, and then I see a lot of things like when two conspiracies touch, they become a reality. So this guy, he might be that guy, but if he's a minor and he's over there talking to Trump, or he wants to talk to Trump. See, Trump wants manufacturing to come back. Well, what do you need when you're manufacturing? But minerals, right? You need mining. So again, that relationship hey, I'd love to have a relationship with Australia that we were guys again. Remember, we used to be good. We used to go to kind of do battles and some cool stuff together. And I would
the problem is, but we actually do have more resources and a better country than you. And that's always been a problem too, you see, because, you know, America can't have that. That's why we've been taken down by the Mossad CIA arrangement, because they know what we've got here, Jim. Jim, we have more minerals and resources than your country will ever think about having. That's serious, man. We led the world in medical breakthroughs, and medical research. We were a country not to be reckoned with, okay? What we didn't have was our military, right? Because it's always been underneath your arm or the New World Order's arm under the UN, But we are a very, very, and to see our two countries come back together, and I loved what Trump's done with the 25% excise. Now, let me give you an idea of the phone call that would have been had between Alba Sleazy, our Prime Minister here, and Trump the other day. And it would have gone like this: whoever patched it through. Hello, is that Alba Sleazy? Yes, President Trump, it is. Right, you New World Order muppet. Release your people from the tyranny. Stop the hate speech laws. Okay, you got 25% now. You want to see 50%? You'll get it. Ring me back. Bang. Phone would have gone down, mate. That's how I reckon this guy would play the game. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Or he's going to wait for them, because if you're not on Team Trump internationally right now,
well, we're not.
You're on the sideline. So if you want to be in the game, what he's probably doing is like, he's not picking up the phone for anybody. They're picking up the phone for him, and they're waiting on hold. Well, the president will be with you when he can. Okay, I'll keep waiting.
Just like the Australian people. Yeah, you'll be with us when you can. That's what you've done to us, Alba Sleazy.
See, that's that turnabout fair play, right? Again, you treat people that way, well, you're going to get treated that way. And I think that I would hope that Australians look at what's going on here and understand that we want what we're doing for every soul on earth. This is not an American thing. And if anybody is kind of doubting what the American spirit really is, and I don't think you guys do, but really, when I talk about my show, I talk about us and we, and I say America, but when I really talk about is what we do for the world, and not in a Bill Gates kind of touch you and kill your kids kind of way, or do whatever he does, but in a way that really makes you the best you can be. I don't want Australia to be America. I want Australia to be the amazing Australia. When I was in the 80s as a kid, when I was I graduated high school, which is I don't know,
70s.
89. No, I'm younger. I'm young.
Right.
So, but in the 80s, I had an Australian flag because I could only imagine going down and seeing the Great Barrier Reef, or going and doing some of the surfing that you guys had available, or going out into the wilderness and getting a little lost. I always thought that just going out in Australia, and maybe not by myself, I'm not a dummy, but just going out and being part of the environment and being a part of that, I always thought that what a frontier Australia was. But anyway, for me, I always had a special place for it. And I think that what we're going to do with America, and you remember, Trump isn't leaving anybody behind. He is talking to people about, hey, come with us. What we can do as America, we can do for you as well. But that's also freedom and liberties. You have that in your intro, freedoms and liberty. That's where if your people, your bought out politicians, if they don't get in line, Trump is going to call them out. You notice that's what he does with all of them, and he will leave them behind economically. Like you said, you guys are at 15%. Let's go to 25% tariffs.
Yep.
You guys don't like that? Let's go to 50. He doesn't care, because he wants freedom first. And really, to him, the money is the leverage. It's the people's freedom that he wants.
Exactly. And just speaking of Australia, mate, everything's out to kill you in Australia. They'll tell you that. Every animal. We got the 7 most deadliest here, but I tell you what, the deadliest animal in this place at the moment, mate, is the fucking government. Yeah. That is the deadliest animal that we have, Jim. They are killing the people. They are full on the New World Order, thread. We got an election coming up in May. They're going to put in Dutton. We know what they're going to do. We're in the background now trying to work out how we can stifle them and what we can do. I won't talk too much about that because we don't want to give away what we're doing. But, we are certainly going to be trying to and now in the last 24 hours with Clive coming on the scene, you know what I mean?
It's changing.
Again. And look, again, people, listen, everything that comes our way, we have to use. Okay, that's how this war works. This is the art of war. All right? Keep your enemy close. You know what I mean? And this is how this is playing out. And this is what we're seeing Trump do. Trump has done such an amazing job of marketing everybody in the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, he done that when he campaigned with his rallies, and he done that with his vote. You know what I mean? He's done that now with his negotiations.
He used inclusion
Yes.
in the right way, not
the right way.
You're right. Right.
Yeah. But exactly, look, we've had NATO kicked out of 110 countries, guys. Common knowledge. Okay, 110 countries now. You know what I mean? So
NATO
we know
was
what Trump's doing here.
Abolished when Russia fell.
Yeah.
NATO was supposed to be abolished. The whole charter of it was, we are here until Russia falls. Well, that was 35 years ago.
Yep.
Why are we still having this conversation?
Why 12 months later are we still having the conversation about Israel when it was defunct last year?
Oh, I know. Yeah, let's talk about
oh, that hurt. Oh,
you know. Hey, let me ask you a quick question though. When is the local police? I don't know if you call them police or what, but when's
I won't tell you what we call them. Yeah, but go on.
there's another policy officers, right? That's it's a polite name. When are they going to decide that the people are who they serve and not the puppet masters? When are those guys, the local guys, going to make a stand and say, I'm not going to arrest my local man?
Great topic you've just brought in. Why? Because we have Victoria, one of our states, the probably the most harshest done by during the COVID lockdowns. It was absolutely tyrannical down there, mate. That was where they were shooting people with rubber bullets, capsicum spraying old grandmas, you know what I mean, laying on the ground, just total UN tactics. Okay, so what's happened down there in Victoria is we've had a big upheaval within the last week, Jim, where we've got well over, they're saying 64%, I think, if I got it correct. Someone might put it in the comments for us, but 64% of the force was against the police commissioner, Shane Patton, who was the mug who brought in all this tyranny, you know what I mean, as the police commissioner. Now, he just resigned on the weekend, didn't he?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we've got 64% of the force against him. So have we got a rumbling within the police force, Jim? Yes. Now, what also we've done, and this is a good documentary. Maybe some of your viewers would like to watch this, but this is on my website. It's stoptherotsacktheLot.org. And there was a documentary, and I premiered it for Australia and the world, actually. We put it out 2 Wednesdays ago, I think, Wednesday nights ago or something. It's a 2-hour documentary, and what it's called is Witness Statement. And that was put together, and what we done was we gave that to every judiciary, every policymaker, every person in the country, justices, everyone was given this documentary, all right? And what it was all the proof of the COVID fiasco and how they murdered the people. And then what we've done is we've gone, right, now people, chase it up. Everyone's been served worldwide, Australia-wide. Now start chasing it up. We want event numbers. We want them to investigate the crime that we have given the information for. So it's called Witness Statement, Jim. So are we on the move here in Australia, Jim? We're on the move in Australia, but we are getting dumped on by the mainstream media with so much negative press. We are sovereign citizens. We are terrorists. We are this, we are that. We're Islamophobic. We're, well, what's Islamophobic about knowing that, the whole Israel thing was a bullshit beat up from, the synagogue of Satan to create something to go against what God called his favorite people, Israel. I mean, you don't have to be a fucking rocket science to work this shit out. What else was the devil going to do? And yet here we are. We can't talk about these guys. We can't mention the Zionists. We can't, well, guess what? I can.
Yeah.
Because I really don't care. All right, because I'll tell the truth, and we know how the world's been run. They took our guns off us in 1996 down in Tasmania at Port Arthur, pinged a little guy called Martin Bright for it when we know it was Mossad and CIA that were here. We've got the evidence.
And you got the evidence on that, but how much was China also feeding part of that as well? I mean, they're just across the street from you guys.
Look, they've been doing the resources side. Okay, Mossad, CIA. You know as well as I do that the communist part of the Communist Party in China is well in bed with the deep state in what they do. Okay, so they all use each other and work off each other. The problem is that we got it all, guys, and you're friggin' going down, and that's the big issue at the moment. You guys know it, So
yeah.
People telling you China's our problem. China's been an introduced problem. The problem is Mossad, CIA, Britain. Simple.
Well, but see, the Britain tie into Mossad and the whole Israel thing, which goes back to the Khazarians, because remember Trump now, or not Trump, sorry, excuse me, Putin actually said in 2 sentences back to back when he was interviewed with Tucker, he said, "I am not in Ukraine fighting the Ukrainians. I am Ukraine fighting the Nazis." And I want people to remember what that really means. When we say that he's fighting the Nazis, that's the Khazarians that were in Western Poland, which then used to be Eastern Germany. But during World War I, we took Eastern Germany away from Germany and gave it to Poland, which is where the Khazarians, the militia of the Jewish. See, this is where we don't talk about this. They are the Khazarians are the paid mercenaries. See, Jews, according to the Jewish religion, I'm paraphrasing. If I'm stepping on anybody's whatever, let me know. But they say they cannot commit violence. They cannot use interest. They cannot use these things. So they use the Khazarians who are on the other side. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that. So remember, we're not in Ukraine. Russia's not in Ukraine fighting Ukrainians. He's fighting Khazarians. That's why you see the swastikas. That's why you see the slashes. That's why Zelensky wears that little trident sweater. And by the way, if you're the president of a country, can you stop wearing sweaters? I mean, what are you going to work out with
that's all,
or what?
That was on the contract from Central Casting, mate. You only had to wear a sweater. That was it. You know, so there was no.
So what are you wearing? The same crappy green sweater for 4. It's like, dude, you're going to see the president. I got my sweater on. At least it's not a hoodie. I guess we could say that he's not doing the Fetterman from Pennsylvania. So
Jim, the comment on the bottom of the screen there, mate, right? And this lady's dead right. This is Australia. We are 30% awake and 70% asleep, whereas the USA is 70% awake and maybe 30%, asleep. So what's your advice to us to try and flip? What do we do here? You know, from your general, run a podcast, talking to all these different people. What's the ball plan for Australia? What would you suggest that we do to make these people wake the friggin' hell up to what we have to activate on and use?
There's some simple catchphrases, some simple analogies. You can either die on your knees or live on your feet, So I say it dying on your knees because as soon as you put the knee to the ground, as soon as you bend that knee, you've given up your soul. You've sold your soul for that 30 pieces of silver moment. And so I say, I don't want to die on my knees. I want to live on my feet, and I may fight till my last breath on my feet, but it'll be at my terms. And if you guys understand that, yes, there'll be some that have to go through the brick wall who will be the bloodiest. There will be the J6ers. That'll be the, I had the 2 no-knock raids on my house. Trump has had a no-knock raid on his house. We know these things can happen. And I will tell you the one thing that in my experience of everything is when you hesitate, he who hesitates dies. So don't hesitate to say something. You see something in the store, you see someone talking about something, you get out there, you get bold, and the more often you do. Let me ask, and I'm gonna bring this all together with one more analogy here. Do you believe in Bluetooth? Do you believe in Bluetooth, that your phone can talk to a set of headphones and this little music goes through so you believe that Bluetooth actually works, correct? You believe that that's a thing. Well, what if I told you that your mind, your voice, your resonance has greater power, so much significant power that they're trying to kill you to keep you away from it? They've been trying to generationally keep you away from your power. And what I'm telling you is, if you believe that Bluetooth really sends music to your headphones, then imagine how great your power is, of your voice and your heart and your intent. And when 2 or more come together, we can use a biblical phrase, 2 more come together, I am there with you. Physicists know that when 2 are within 3 feet of outside of you, you bring the bond together, you begin bigger, more frequency, more vibration, more resonance, then you become more powerful and they become less. And that is it. You just be bold. And I know Australians know how to be bold. I've seen you guys. I played rugby till I was 46. Okay. I played a lot of rugby with Australians and New Zealanders, and we called them Islanders when they came over. And I played with these guys, and we know you guys have passion. We know you guys have grr. You got that in your gut. You know you can fight for it. So all you got to do is just stand up. And when you stand up together, and you never, ever let your fellow man down. And that's the whole battle buddy of things. You go in together, everybody goes in and everybody comes out. Nobody's left behind. And when you guys get that mentality, and I don't know if it's something that we just do here in America, it's kind of crazy or whatever, but it's something I know you guys have in you because I've seen it on the rugby pitch. I know you guys know how to be powerful. So just do it. I believe in you guys. And when you guys quit giving me this, this, and this, and I start hearing about, what we're doing next, that's when I get excited. And I want to be there for you guys, and I want Trump to be there for you. I know it can happen. But the biggest thing is, just stand up and use your power, which is your voice. They can maybe shut up one or two of you, and maybe one or two of you end up in jail. Maybe one or two end up being taken away and never coming back. But what about the rest of you? That didn't mean the rest of you died. That doesn't mean the rest of you are in jail. They can't jail you all. And I know it's easier to kill you than deal with you. But legitimately, guys, you guys have the power inside. You have God-given inalienable rights. We have them here in America, and I believe you have them as well. I think your Constitution is out there to be used, and it should be used the way it's written, but we don't exercise the contract with our governments. So be powerful. Just start talking like this. You guys, the fact that you're doing this show, man, I admire you, bro. I mean, I know you guys are fighting the fight over there, but there's got to be more. Your voice, whoever's watching this show right now, if they're not sharing it out 100 different times, they're not in the battle. If they're not liking this the whole time, just pounding that like button over and over again, they're not in the battle, because that's what it takes. It takes the shares. It takes the likes. It takes the conversation. It takes the small group meetings. And that's it. That's how the Democrats got to where they were in power, because they did it the small micro level. The micro affects the macro. The little gets the big. You got to start with grandma. And by the way, guys, the older you are, the elderly that are out there thinking, I'm in a walker, I'm on a cane, I'm in a thing, I can't do it. You guys have got to be the first. You guys are the boldest and the bravest, because really they don't like messing with old people. They really don't. It's a bad look to arrest grandma. So grandmas get involved. Mamas get involved. Dads get involved. Children be involved. That's how you affect the best. We have a generation of young kids coming up in America right now that were graduating in 2020 that are going to be the most conservative America's ever seen, that they're going to not want debt. They're not going to want school. They want gardens and old cars and old radios that click and spark, and they want the old school stuff. And they know that. They know that's happening in America. That generation is coming alive right now. So follow us in that path. Follow us in those things. And be brave. Guys, I have a poem on my site, thejimpriceshow.com. I don't know if you guys announced that or not. Thejimpriceshow.com. I have a poem on there. I want you to read that poem. And if you don't feel more motivated after that, then I don't know what's going to make your soul wake up. But that poem, I wrote it in October 20th of 2020, right before the election. I wrote that about being brave. And if you can't be brave, then there'll be others that will be brave until you can be brave. And get out there and read that and understand that, braveness is not in all of us, but we have to figure it out. And so, guys, you guys have the power. It's inside of you.
Yeah. And to go back on that frequency, I just lost my dad about 7 months ago. I just lost my mum last month. And my mum died from a broken heart. I've got videos here of her. A week before, there was nothing wrong. I saw her the night before she passed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just to say a quick story, Jim, my mum died of a broken heart, guys. Why? Because they were 72 years married. My dad left, and their frequencies were like this, guys. For 72 years, they have been interlocked, okay? And then one got ripped from the other. My mother died of a broken heart, all right? And that just shows you how powerful this connect. That's why they wanted you 6 foot apart, guys. All right, because what Jim was saying there about coming together and the frequencies, and when we come together, we frequent off each other. All right, and we pass frequencies. It's like when we taught you to hug. Jim, here's a lesson for you. When you hug people, hug left to left, mate, not right to right, like the Kabbalists taught us. Because right to right, you put livers together, which is bad energy. Left to left, you put your hearts together.
Yeah,
and we done an experiment on this at Canberra in the big protests, and man, it works. It actually works. It changes the environment. So there's that. The other thing is, Jim, we now have, I think, something to actually wake those people that we're talking about, right, and bring them to life. And I think that could be a man who can be to Australia as big a figure, well-known figure as what President Trump is in America. And I do believe that guy, if this plays out, I mean, this is early days. I'm just speaking out of my head here, okay? But if we can get Clive to do what Clive can do and maybe get Gina on with him, you know what I mean, and get the get the fight for Australia back in the people with two well-recognised figures and know that they're on our side, I think that we could do something here. I mean, but that's my personal opinion. You know, that will go out to the viewers and people will start to talk about that, discuss that. But also we need Clive to get on a show and come and tell us, you know, what he wants to do. You know, give us some ideas, give us some procedures. How are you going to do this? Because, you know, we've got two major parties over here and they're just, you know, they're cheeks of the same arse, mate. You know what I mean? And we know what they're about to do. They're about to put Dutton in now because Labor's totally screwed us down the New World Order path. So, time for a flip, time for a change. We'll give them Dutton. Now, the problem with it is Albert Sleazy, our Prime Minister at the moment, is an absolute dumb idiot, right? He is. He's a dumb idiot, mate, all right? I got more IQ in my big toe than this guy has, okay? And, you know, seriously. But the guy they're going to put in is not. He's a smart man. He's an ex-cop. He will come at us hard, and we don't need him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we're caught in this, you know, we're in a very precarious situation in Australia at the moment with this election coming up. Very precarious. So to see someone like Clive jump in at the moment, yes, I'm excited to maybe let my mind expand and think of what that could look like over the next few months in Australia as a movement. So, yeah, it could be some good times coming.
Well, and I would say, and I, you know, again, this is that hard line. I always look at it as this, and this is the best way I can define the definition of what you can do. I don't answer to my God the way I answer to my government. My God gives me breath. My creator, who I believe that I am in unison with, that's who I get my breath from. And so I look at that as the most important person. And I don't bend the knee to a government because if I remember right, there was never a time where Jesus was bending the knee. He was rolling the tables. And if I remember right, he was meeting the prostitute at the well. He wasn't waiting for people to come to him. He was going and finding them. So that means that we do more for those around us, right? So we always go looking for ways to help each other, and then we bind together, and then we become more powerful. But I will tell you, there is a point of righteous indignation. And I try to slow this conversation down about righteous indignation because people want to use the Bible as a reference to, well, this is why I do or don't do these things. I don't cuss or I do cuss. But righteous indignation is actually your God telling you that when someone does something wrong to you purposefully, they did it to you purposely. They made a law, they made a rule, regulation, knowing that they were going to tell you that you have to accept Islam, which actually makes them an anti-Christian because they're forcing another religion onto you besides what your own free choice is, right? So at the end of the day, I'm saying that you got to figure out who your God is. Is it the big G God on the throne of your life or that small G government? So who do you draw your breath on from when you wake up in the morning? Who's that one that keeps you alive while you sleep at night? Is it the small G government? So who are you going to follow? Are these laws and rules and ways really, are these ones that are actually going to be respectful to your fellow man, but also to your creator? See, government was never meant to get in the way of our relationship, but when they're telling you which religions you can or cannot or have to support or don't support, then again, we're seeing that they're crossing a line too far. And I would have to say, people, in your own heart of discernment, where you were talking about with your creator, you got to figure out where your line is, that bridge too far. And for me, I've said a lot of things on this show, and I've cussed a lot. I've cried. I've done a lot of things here, and I meant all of it. I mean that we need to get God back in our homes, and whatever God that is, I don't care who it is, but we need to get fathers back in the home and get fathers back at the head of the home where we can now have fathers and mothers raising children in a balanced way to where the government will never influence them. We replaced our fathers with government in our homes, and now we have Big Daddy in our house, and we wonder why we don't like it.
Too true. All right, that's been a great. We've covered a bit of stuff here, Jim. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the Australia? We try and keep these around the 45 to an hour. And it's, people view them, mate. They get too long, and you know what it's like. You and I haven't got time to go watch and everything. And so that's what we try and do here. So what would be your closing words to the Australian people? And then I'll close with our words to the American people. And then we've got a short song that we always finish off with, a bit of a song on the show, mate. And I'll pick one out of mainstream today, and I'll explain why when I give my little outro. So, Jim, thank you very much. It's been a great conversation. I think everyone will really enjoy just what we're talking about, the enthusiasm, and that's what we're here for, us people.
Yeah.
We're here to tell you the truth. We're here to motivate you guys.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're here to get you going. I don't spend 24 hours, 7 days a week doing this to run 5 shows a night and everything else in between. All right. Because I just want to do it. It's because God's asked me to do it.
Absolutely.
I'm doing it. And you guys are the church. He's looking for you, and now he's found you. All right. You are the people who never bowed a knee.
Right.
Okay. You are the people that if you did bow a knee, saw at the last minute that you were bowing a wrong knee, and now you've got on the right track. Okay. We've got a whole multitude of different people within this Patriot scheme, right? But I'll tell you what, they built a Tower of Babel, guys. The deep state tried to build another Tower of Babel. And guess what? It ain't working again. The good Lord's bringing it down. So the song we're going out with is the Tower of Babel from Elton John. Looks like I got to put it in. Hey?
Jim said.
Hey?
It's Jim done his outro.
Yeah. And
right.
Jim's. Yep.
Yeah, I do my outro. I'll do my little bit that I do for everybody on my show. And there's a couple of things I say. I say we stand with all patriots. That's God and country first. So you can figure it out. I don't care if you're Australian, you're from New Zealand, you're from England. God and country first is a patriot. That's what I believe a patriot is. And so I will call you a patriot. I will stand on the battlefield with you is because you believe in freedoms and liberties for all. And I say that we stand with all patriots. And I didn't say Americans, right? All patriots. And I always tell people your future is a reflection of your heart now. Make sure your heart's in the right place every single day, being better than the day before. And I mean that because if you don't get your heart right now, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know you want freedoms and liberties now, you can't imagine it in the future. You have to get it right now so your future is that. And so work on making sure we get the ego out of the way. And I'll give you my closer. I always say to this, guys, listen, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Remember the 10% you do for your neighbor, your community, your city, your county, your state, your federal government, the more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world will be a far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast. Do not give up. Do not give in. We will win. I promise. I don't promise I can't keep. Guys, you've always been the answer. The Constitution limits the government, but never limits you. And your Constitution does limit your government. It is not limiting the people. And no matter where you're at, we understand that laws actually are there to keep you safe from tyranny. And if we don't start thinking in the right way, we will never be treated in the right way because they have control over us. So, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this show, and thank you so much for watching this. This is amazing what you're doing down in Australia, and I love it. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of what you guys are doing more often, and we got to cross-pollinate some more here. And I love what you're doing, man. Don't give up. Don't give in. We will win, I promise. And we won the coin toss. The coin toss. I did it wrong 3 times. I still couldn't get it right. But that was the coin toss. We won that. That was the election. Yeah. And now we got to put the work in. We've been practicing. Yeah. We've been given the rah-rahs. We've been doing all that. Now let's put the time in. Let's fix what we have out there, and let's do more for each other. And remember, donate to each other's shows. Donate to them, man, and help him out, and share and like as often as possible. Beat the algorithm. Too big to cheat. Too big to rig, right? So let's do that for him. So thank you so much for having me on your show, sir.
Nah, thank you very much, Jim. Hang here, mate. We'll have a chat. But yeah, we'll see you again real soon, mate.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, mate.
You've got to play it. So you've got to go to the other window and play it. Sorry, guys.
There's no window.
Okay, hang on.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Technical thing, eh? No producer in the studio today. Here it goes.
Okay.
The Tower of Babel's coming down.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my show, guys. And I think it's good to see you guys. Thanks.
Hey, Jim.
All right. If you want to, am I muted on that? Yeah.
it.